So in my main Khan culture, their religion is one where they have a whole pantheon of gods, a whole million of them, and they also have animistic spirits to each little thing, like a rock and a tree. And then there's another culture that is not related to this culture. It's completely unrelated. They just happen to live nearby because of recent political events. And so I wanted the religion to be very different, something that it has very little things in common, to show just how much they're not related to them, how different they are. So I came up with this idea that they believe in just three gods, and those three gods are fate, luck, and happiness. And those three gods, they run the world together, so everything that exists came from them. There are no other gods or spirits or anything like that, except maybe the spirits of dead people. I haven't really completely thought out this religion, so it's just like ideas that are floating in my head. So maybe dead people do become sort of like spirits that float around and like manipulate things, but in general there aren't really like anything besides for those three concepts: fate, luck, and happiness. And I was thinking that it could be that fate manifests as the waters, luck as the skies, and then happiness as the earth. Because I was thinking that like the water, like a river, it goes down into a specific direction and it always gets to the bottom, and no matter what is in its way, it's gonna like cut through it and like it's gonna eventually get there. You know, it might meander a little bit, but it's gonna get there, and that's kind of like your fate, like what your destiny is. And then the skies is luck, because the weather is something that can be good or bad, and it's not predictable, and it's very like random, very full of entropy kind of. And then earth is happiness, because that's like the third thing out of the water, skies, and earth. But also because that's where we live. That's what our livelihood is. That's where that's what makes us. That's what we do. If that makes any sense. Another thing that they relate the fate and luck and happiness to is they think of light as happiness and rain as luck and harvest / the growth of the fields as the fate. The reason they do that is because, shining light is very like happy. Rain is luck, because again, you can't really predict when it's going to rain, and it can be good sometimes and sometimes it can be bad, right? You can have like a really good rain for your crops, but you can also have like a storm that devastates and floods things. So that's, it's a little bit like a random thing to it. And then the harvest is destiny, because the good growth of the plants is like the fate. That's the final destination of all the things that happen in every year. With the light and the rain, that's what it goes to, that's what it leads to, is to be able to have a good crop. And so that's like the fate, that's the final destination. And another thing is that you need both good light and good rain to grow good plants successfully. You need good happiness and good luck in order to have good fate. That's what that means. And then when they say fate, they don't mean like everyone is born with a set thing when they're going to die, how they're going to die, how their life is going to go about. No, because there's still luck, Fate is just describes how your end of life will be. So it can change dependent on how you go through life. It just means what your end of life will be and what you will experience past that. I don't know. I didn't really think about their religion too much, but I just thought like whatever they consider to be past their death, that's the realm of your fate. That's what you build for yourself your whole life, just like the harvest is you build for yourself the whole year. So going back to this, rain, light, and harvest is the luck, happiness, and fate. Not just you need good light and good rain to grow good plants, meaning good happiness and good luck to have good fate, but in fact, in order to have good rain, it needs to block out the sun. When it rains, the sun is blocked out. And in order to have good sun, you can't have rain, because the rain blocks out the sun. So sometimes you need to have bad luck in order to end up being happy, and sometimes you need to be sad in order to get good luck. Or when they say bad luck, they mean that sometimes a happiness can actually be bad for you, and a luck that seems good can actually be bad for you in the long run. And just like you need to have times of darkness and times of dryness to grow good plants in total, so too, you must have times of unhappiness and times of unluckiness in order to end up with a good and desirable fate. Again, the fate is something that they see of as like their end of life, what will happen then. So you can have something that might sound good to you, but it's really not desirable, like objectively, whatever they consider that in their culture to be objectively desirable. They say, well, this is obviously objective, but really it's just their cultural norms. But anyway, back to the thing. Another thing was that luck they think of as chaos, and fate is as order, and happiness is right in the middle. So to keep you happy, you need to have some order to your days, and also some freedom and unexpectedness and some chaos. So that's another thing. So they have this whole, philosophy about the way the world works, and like the happiness and fate and luck. So while I was thinking about this, I actually realized that this idea of having to have good rain that also blocks out the sun, and having to have good sun blocks out the rain, this made me think of the prompt that went out on the Pastel Discord server. So I've done a few videos of these already, and I was actually not gonna do another one because I felt like I don't really know how to explain it. I wasn't like feeling to do the next one. But then I totally forgot about that prompt, and I came up with this thing, and then I realized that this actually fits the prompt. So I'm like, I might as well put this as also going under that prompt. So basically, the prompt was rain reflections. And so basically, you have the rain as something that is part of this, right? The rain is considered luck, and it's a good thing, but also sometimes it's a bad thing. And the reflection part is, just like you need to have good rain and bad light, and also good light and bad rain to grow plants, so too in your life, you need to have times of happiness and times of unluckiness and things like that. So that's like a reflection in yourself, that whenever if you feel down, if you feel like you've had a bad streak of luck, then you say, but that's going to be good for my happiness, it's going to be good for my fate in total. So it's like a thing that in their culture, they have this philosophy they reflect upon. When they see the rain, when they see a dry period, it makes them feel like inspiration and spiritualness about the way their life is going, and they think about it in these terms. Yeah, so I'm curious to see what you guys think about this. Let me know, like, what would you have come up with for this rain reflection, and also, what do you think about this religion of the luck, happiness, and fate? Is there something obvious to you that I didn't think about that you think would fit perfectly in this little religion? Is there something stupid or silly that's screaming out at you that I made a really dumb goof mistake that you're like, why would he ever do that? Why would he even think to do that? How could he not see the problems with it? If so, I would really be interested in hearing that, so let me know down in the comments. Another thing I was going to comment on is that I never planned on writing scripts for my videos. I always wanted to just, speak them as they come out of my mind, the way that I think that's what Four Crows does, and that's really what inspired me to make my channel in the first place. But in my previous videos, I ended up like writing a bit of notes so I remember what to say, and that ended up making me kind of read it as if it was a script, and it was kind of annoying, really, because it makes my words come out a lot more unnatural than if I just speak them out loud. And so this video might have ended up a little bit more rambly, and I repeat myself a few times, but it's a lot easier for me to make it this way, and it's also a lot more natural, I feel. To me, it just feels more natural. But let me know, what do you think? Is it more understandable if I don't speak so much straight from my head, and if it's more, I guess, thought out before I speak, or is it okay this way? Because if it's more understandable, then I'm just gonna go back doing it the other way, because there's no point in really sharing any information if no one can receive that information that I'm trying to share. So I would really be interested in hearing that, so let me know. That having been said, if anybody's watching this as it's coming out and has been watching my other videos as they were coming out, you might have noticed that I was gone for like 6 months or something like that, and that's because I was busy with university. So, but now the semester is over, so I'm gonna be making videos now, so I'm happy about that, and hopefully you guys might enjoy that too. So anyway, yeah, you'll hear from me pretty soon. So you'll hear from me soon. Why is it so hard to speak English? God damn it!